Welcome to the Scale Show. And we are here in the Great Hall Gallery. I'm giving a little look at this amazing hall, which is the Great Hall Gallery of the First Presbyterian Church. Thank you everyone who is joining our Zoom today. And I would also like to tell you this was an invitation from the New York Artists Circle, a networking of artists, not a non-for-profit. And I'm the curator of this show. My name is Cecilia André. And the subject of this show is scale. I chose this because this room, it is of a very beautiful, wonderful scale. And I know as an artist that sometimes as we work, we have to decide what scale do we use when we create. So I'm going to be, I did an open call, many amazing artists answered, and I will be talking to each artist who will introduce their work, and I'll ask them a surprise question. Okay, our first artist will come up here, and I will be showing her work. And then we will go around.
My name is Paula Heissen. My work is called Doppengauger. And the small piece is a study for the larger painting. So for all my paintings, I do drawings and then color studies, and then I mix the palette from the color study.
Okay, I'm going to ask a question to Paula. Paula, we start the show with a bang, with works about the doppelganger or a biologically unrelated double, which makes me wonder, is this the shadow, is the double, the shadow of the rose, which is the doppelganger, or is it the small scale study that is the doppelganger of the large, or vice versa?
No, it's a peony, and the shadow is the doppelganger. And I did this painting during the pandemic, and it was about how a small thing creates a huge shadow. So all of my shadows got really big and dark during last spring.
Okay, thank you, Paula. And now we are going to show you the work of Barbara McDougall. And you are seeing it here. And there she is.
Hi, I'm Barbara McDougall, and these are my paintings. This one is Eternal Sleep, and this is Recovery, working with mostly flowers.
Barbara, my question to you is that your work is so plentiful and fluid to me that I am wondering why your larger, contrary to what I would expect, your larger size canvas, which is more spacious, is full of figures, even crowded, while your small single flower figure has a lot of space around it.
Well, the bigger paintings, working with flowers, time is a problem. You want to capture the flowers while they're still vibrant and fresh. So that makes me work fast and with bigger brush strokes, and I feel like I need to fill the canvas as quickly as possible, and while everything is still there. Working with a smaller canvas, and in this case, I like to, since I work with live flowers, I like to see them as they wither. There's a really beauty in the process of decay, and working in a smaller canvas and giving it a lighter background makes me feel like it's more vulnerable.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you very much. Now we are going over to the work of Sandra Taggart. You might have seen her work in our invitation. And here is also her work. She will introduce herself to you. See if we can, yeah.
Hi, I'm Sandra Taggart, and these are my paintings. The large one is called After Sunset 3, and the smaller one is called Cosmic Flower.
Sandra, my question to you is, when I see your works, I think of the infinite size of the cosmos, a scale hard to conceive. I have the same feeling of your small piece. Can you tell us how and why you chose to convey such a large theme in a scale smaller than the bigger one?
The large piece is because I was really trying to convey the grandeur of the universe, and actually I would like to make them even bigger. And the smaller one, which is just one, here, let's see if we get the smaller one, which is just one facet of the universe. I was able to make it feel big by the use of color, really. Color is what did it. And the fact that it's very detailed and it's concentric circles pulls you in to look at it, but also it makes the feeling of deep space.
Beautiful, thank you. So I am going to show you the work of the next artist, Tamara Windham. This is her work. This is Tamara, but I'm going to show you her other work. Way up there. So, so we are ready for you.
Hi, I'm Tamara Windham, and this painting is called Tower of Light. It's a meditation, and the painting above is turning within myself, I create again and again, which is a line from the Bhagavad Gita.
I love that. The scale in your work, Tamara, is actual human size because it's a body print, the large one. And it reminded me of Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. It feels to me your figures, though, levitate in a very cosmic surrounding. How and why do you make these extremes of scale?
Well, the body print I make by applying paint directly to a model's skin and then rubbing it onto the cloth. So it's by necessity life-sized. And then the small print, I'm working from a photograph of the body print in order to be able to play with color and do it more quickly. And it is very spiritual, and I paint an aura around the work and around the body, and it gives the impression of floating.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. So we are going to the next artist, and she will introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Justina Cervoni, and these are my two paintings. This is titled Erskine, and this is Erskine Mirror Image Study.
Perfect. Thank you, Justina. You state in your words, every artist has words in this show, which is amazing, that you work in small and large scale simultaneously.
Yes.
That the large work delivers a visual punch, and because of its size and because of its expressive force of the subject. Can you tell us who the portrayed person is and why the second person in the smaller work eventually disappears in the larger portrait?
Okay, well, this is a portrait of my friend Erskine. Erskine comes from Trinidad, and he's been in this country about 15 years, and he is visually impaired, and also he's a healer. So when he's doing his healing, he often has his eyes closed. And I did this study first of the small work, and it's actually supposed to be a mirror image. I did that work first, and then when I did this, I left out the second figure because the profile worked. It was more effective for me.
Beautiful. I totally get it. Thank you. The next artist we are going to see, she is actually amongst you because she is on our Zoom, but her work is here with us. I'm going to introduce her work and then ask her the question. Then she will come on. Her first work is called Us Despite Them. Her second work, I'm going to come closer because there is a big change of scale. It's a very delicate pen and ink, and it is called Cascades of the Night. So Alice, after I ask the question, will you please unmute yourself and answer? You say that you use ancient mythology and deep emotional drama informs your work. I can feel the sense of turmoil even in the delicate beauty of the black and white work. I was curious if there is one specific saga or myth for each piece. Could you tell us?
Sure. So the big painting with about 4 feet, that was done from the only extant Roman novel, ancient Roman novel by Apuleius. And the smaller ink drawing, that was done from Ovid's Metamorphoses. And I think that I'm using mythology because these myths have lasted for centuries, because they hit on really intrinsically human emotional dramas. And so my paintings are not and my drawings are not illustrations of the myth I'm working from, but more that emotional drama that I feel the myth is depicting.
Thank you very much. We are going to show you now Elaine Forrest's work.
Hi, I'm Elaine Forrest. I have 2 paintings here and the actual brushes that I painted. The smaller painting is called Small Japanese Brushes, and the larger painting is called Large Japanese Brushes.
Wonderful. Elaine, come here.
Yes.
You portray your beautiful tools with beaded handles, and you've told me you've made the small piece first. At what point did you decide there was going to be a larger piece? Before the study, during the execution, or after?
After. I was inspired by the smaller piece and the beads themselves. And there's also another piece that's in oil. This is acrylic,
Yeah.
and this is watercolor. And that was, I just liked the way the beads look. They seemed very cheery, and they made me feel good.
So a change in the medium.
In the
also,
medium,
yeah.
also the medium, the watercolor is
Determined,
very
yeah.
quick, but this is more labored, the acrylic.
Mhm.
And so you get a better sense of the beads individually.
A little further so everyone can see. Thank you very much. Okay. We are now going to show the 2 works, a circular work and one more larger work. And
Hi, I'm Melissa Kraft, and my large-scale watercolor is called Calling Them Home. My small-scale watercolor is called Upwards.
okay, so I'm going to sneak here and ask Melissa that will tell you that you explained so perfectly to me that your work derives from interior landscapes of thoughts and dreams. At what point do decisions of scale emerge within your process?
Well, usually it's as I'm working. So I like to start by preparing paper, canvas, whatever I'm working with. And my favorite thing to do first is just mix the palette. And I'll start working large, I'll start working small. And as I go along, the small piece might give me an idea that I want to expand, and then I make a larger version of it. And the ideas that I carry around with me from things I've read, poetry, things I've seen in theater and dance, those also influence the actual landscapes that I look at outside, and they kind of merge. So that's what happened with Calling Them Home. For example, I started out painting a regular landscape, and then somehow a fairy tale that I had just read came into my mind, and somebody was throwing magic dust and calling people, and that's the way it comes together for me.
Thank you, Melissa. And now I will show you this triptych here and have her, the author, introduce herself to you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lois Bender, and I am the artist who has done a monoprint of a triptych, and it represents the pond, which I'm very inspired by. The large piece is a print with stencils for the grasses and painting of the ripples. And the small piece is...
Now, I'm going to ask you a question.
Sure.
To surprise you. Do you have the title for it?
This is Small Pond Study.
Thank you. My question is that your work evokes expansive scale by increasing width or height to express panoramic field, is how you describe it. How do your small studies help you in this process? Do you make studies until you decide to enlarge, or do you ever skip that step and go straight into large?
Well, it's a matter of the scale of your body and your hands, that when you're working on in front of you, 10 inches, 15 inches is the length of your hands, your arm span. And I study that way to have the variety and get inspiration from smaller pieces. And then when one of them really inspires me, I'll take it to a large scale. And it's exciting. I could probably do a few more panels to add to the triptych. But it's a matter of inspiration and instinct.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'm going to show you a work up close here and move this back to show you work that takes a much larger scale. And finally, I'll have the artist introduce herself to you.
Hi, my name is Anne Finkelstein, and these are my two paintings. The larger one is called Orange Fence, and the smaller one is called Aqua Entrance.
So Anne, you construct architectural spaces that at first it seems like I could enter them or inhabit them. But on further inspection, there are layers that contradict my first attraction, and I find myself hanging. Can you explain this and how scale works for you?
Well, scale is something I think about a lot in my work. Even in the small works, I try and create an internal sense of scale. The contradictory perspectives to me represent the fact that when you're looking at something, you can actually remember what it looks like from other angles. So rather than just representing a static view, I'm representing many different views and memories at the same time. I think of it as a contemporary form of cubism.
Beautiful explanation, thank you. And now I'm going to show you a small work here and a larger work over here, which I need some space because the scales change beautifully. And here is the artist talk to you.
Hello, I'm Regina Silvers. My small work is called 3rd Avenue, 12 to 16 at 8:30 a.m. That's precisely when I did it. And the larger work is called 3rd Avenue, Traffic in the Rain. And
okay, I'm ready for your question. Regina Silvers, in your two works, I see a careful attention to the urban city grid. However, your small work is a watercolor medium and the larger not. The smaller has a light day background, while the larger a dark, almost black color. How do these different mediums you chose to work affect the scale of your work?
The small work is, I did these small works every morning and some evenings over 2 or 3 years. And they were done quickly and they had to be done portably. I sat there with a sketch pad on my lap. So these are generally ink and watercolor. Then later on,
yeah, it's beautiful.
It's actually the same view. They're both looking at Third Avenue from the same place, from the 10th floor of my apartment, that balcony. But this one was really Third Avenue at night in the rain, which was why it was dark. And actually the small work that I did of that particular evening is also dark, but I didn't do a large one of this, so I couldn't really compare them. But the larger work is done in my studio, where I have space and where I'm more interested in the painting quality. The small work is perception. I'm drawing from what I see, and the large work is more of a cumulative effect of the whole scene and what I want to experience, the experience of it.
It's very experiential. Thank you, Regina. I am going on to show you 2 works. See if I can show you 2 works that are this one and this larger one here. And here is the artist to introduce herself to you.
Hi, I'm Susan Cohen, and these are my 2 paintings, Night Still Life and Yellow Tulips and City Windows. That's the view from my studio. It's a very fixed thing. I can't do much about it. I can't make it go away, but it's constantly changing. And you were going to ask a question?
Yes, I do want to ask your surprise question. Susan, in these 2 paintings, you chose to observe objects in the foreground and a grid of city windows in the background. Amazing, huh? How does size, detail, and time of day make those thematically similar paintings so different?
Well, the small one was painted kind of late afternoon, and it's a very fleeting kind of light. It's very blue. And in order to get it, I have to paint very small. I have to just be able to capture it. I think of them a little bit like snapshots. And so I'm an observational painter, so I paint exactly what I'm trying to capture, what I'm looking at. Whereas the Night Still Life, once the sun goes down, the only thing that changes is what's out in the windows across the way. And it's a little bit of an inroad into abstraction for me, because each one of the windows is like a little mini abstract painting. It's far enough away that I can't really see what's going on.
It looks very enticing. I want to go there. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm showing you 2 other works, which are in a very interesting part of the church. As you see, the scale here has changed. I'm just going to give a little show that we are under the balcony for Susan's work here, and now for Alise's work. See, there's a balcony. So I'm just showing the scale of the space. Okay, here it is. And I'm going to show you one more work by Alise that's on the other wall. You can see they have different scales, and here she is.
Hi, my name is Elise Lobdell, and this piece is called Distant Landscape. And this piece over here is called Magical Equations.
Okay, so Alise, I found your work in the 2 scales, small and large, unique in a way that the scale of the units and the movement and overall spatial did not actually differ so much from smaller to bigger in the artwork. That was very unusual to me. You mentioned in your statement that you feel comforted by thinking of scale when conceiving work. How so?
I really like to play around with small pieces. It's a great way to experiment. In this piece, you'll find beads and magical little surprises. And even though it's a small piece, I want the viewer to be able to take the time and see the detail. In the larger piece, it's similar in that there are also little beads and different things coming out, but because of the pattern, there are certain patterns that I wanted to feel more like a landscape, even if it's an imaginary landscape, not a true to life landscape.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So now I will maybe just turn around, show us all artists here and the organizers, Eileen, who did the Zoom, and Barbara Sherman and Audrey and everybody who has been participating in this amazing project. Bravo. Yay, yay.
Round of applause. Wonderful. Thank you.
And I will show you if he's hiding over here. Audrey. Okay, whoever is the turner off. Sorry, let's do questions. Absolutely.
Okay. I would like to ask a question. The piece behind you with the orange horizontal at the bottom, whose is that again?
The question?
Whose painting is that piece? With
Sandra Taggart.
Taggart, right. So Sandra, I just need to ask you, when I first got the painting to the image to put in the press release, it was so black and white feeling. And now I see the glorious color of the cosmos. And so do you feel the difference? Because you saw the black and white.
I saw the black and white. I saw the black and white, and I also saw one that had been lightened. And the thing about these paintings, which is consistent, is they don't photograph well, kind of like me. And so I prefer the blacker, darker image because it's more related to my intention. And then I hope people will see the real thing and see how much more actually is there. But so far, I can't find a way to totally photograph it. So I prefer the darker image.
Right. That's a question I actually have for everyone, because when you have a scale show like this, it's much easier to scan the small pieces or take a close photo. But when you start getting into the larger pieces, the light, everything is so difficult taking photos. I'm curious, and you answered it, Sandra, for me about yours, because you have so many layers. It looks almost like a glazed piece.
There's no glaze, but there are a lot of layers, because I make sure there's no shine on my paintings. And I use a very matte black that was difficult to find, so that the black in the paintings feels like the void of the universe. And then the only thing I want to shine are like the stars, and then I use crystals or glitter. But photographing it, I've had professionals do it. So far, no one can do it. But
yeah, so that's the reason. Everyone should come and see it in person.
Yeah, come and see the show in person.
Exactly, wonderful. Yeah,
Right.
Fran, to everyone, the gallery use this exhibition is indeed an appropriate space. Thank you, Fran. It really is. We are very honored to use such a beautiful space. I don't know if I showed Tamara's levitating piece as well. It's so amazing. And the whole gallery and space is an amazing privilege that we are sharing and using this. So I wanted to thank everyone that is in the Zoom and was able to be with us here. We're sorry you couldn't be here in person, but do come, because we will be here for 2 months. From Rachel Simon asks, I got here late and will rewatch the video, but it's clear that something. Thank you, Rachel.
That the work is powerful and compelling, and the artist's statements are enlightening.
Yes.
Enlightening. And I have to say, I put it in the Zoom, but I am kind of blown away by doing the Zoom with everybody standing next to their own work. And you really understand scale when you do it that way, because we've been doing Zoom meetings and you know, for the last 18 months, where people will, and exhibitions online where people will share their image. So it's a flat image and it's very hard to understand scale, even though you know what 2 feet by 3 feet is, for example. So just having these artists stand in the space next to their pieces is just fabulous. Thank you so much for doing this.
Somebody was asking if she could talk to Tamara about her large piece.
What would you like? What would you want most for the viewer to see in this painting of yours?
Well, it's rather ambitious, and I don't know if I've achieved this, but there's a tradition in spiritual art of looking at a painting and the painting being so powerful that it reverberates in the viewer, and the viewer has a spiritual experience looking at the painting. And I'm humble enough that I'm not going to say I achieved that, but that's my goal.
It's always good to work toward a higher goal, to pursue a higher goal. That way, when you aim for the stars, even if you fall short, you're still way up there. Somebody asked if you could show the show one more time, just go around the room one more time to show the images again.
Which you want the general?
Yeah, just go slowly around the room so the lighting can adjust as you turn, and we can get to see the grandness of the scale of the show. Yeah, as you do it slowly, the light adjusts and you really get a better idea of the color. It's wonderful. Wow. Whoa, that's big.
Happy.
Yeah.
Big and bold and beautiful. That is our work. Yeah.
Can you also name the artists as you go around?
Yes, this was, we saw Paula Heissen, Barbara McDougall's Flowers, Sandra Taggart. The work that is up high is Tamara Windham, and so is the small blue one. This work is Justina Cervoni, the big and the small. This one is Alice Zinnes's work, the big and 2 different mediums, pen and ink and large oil painting. And these paintings of the same theme are Elaine Forrest. And the circular one is Melissa Kraft. And so is this large one here, because they have to be different in size, but scale is relative to each other. So some are huge and small, and others, the variation not so much. These watery landscapes are by Lois Bender. Here's her smaller piece. And the next to her, similar colors, but very urban, different cityscape, is Anne Finkelstein. And I will run back here because her work, it needs some space, is beautiful and enormous, like grates and city parts that we see every day, but she makes them magical. Here is Regina Silvers' view of 3rd Avenue. Here is her same view, but at night and a rainy night, like tonight. So it looks amazing, and a different view of the urban grid. And here we see Susan Cohen's work with the building grid in the back. And here is her larger piece, also Susan Cohen. And the last but not least, beautiful, totally works so well here in the middle of these two stained glass windows, is the work of Elise Lobdell. And here is the last one. And then we will ask you to sign our guest book. And everything's so beautifully done. Thank you for coming to our Zoom and joining us. I'm so happy to see everyone. Very honored. Bye.